Yeah, thank you. All right, friends, good afternoon to all of you, and a very warm welcome this Sunday afternoon to this very important topic today that we'll be discussing, which is National Education Policy 2020, SDG goal number 4. So, friends, this webinar is brought to you by IHRDI in association with Shiksha Sanskriti Uthan Nyas, SSUN. And once again, namaskar, sabhi ko, and I wish you happy Valentine's Day also on this day. And thank all of you who have joined on. Firstly, it's a Sunday, and secondly, it's a Valentine's Day. You spared your valuable time. So, friends, as we talk today, I'll just get you back to 1947 when India attained independence. At that point of time, the literacy rate of the country was just 12%. So today we have touched around 75%. In roughly 75 years or so, from 12% to 75% that we have touched, but still some miles we have covered, some miles we need to be covered. The Sustainable Development Goals number 4 talks about the quality education to ensure inclusion and quality education for all and promote lifelong learning. It has 10 targets and 11 indicators which needs to be taken care of as such. Friends, over all these years, we know that the Human Development Index of any country is based on the literacy level. The literacy is a major factor in determining and calculating computation of Human Development Index, wherein the literacy along with the health. These are two major levels, and if you just see the developed model in Western Europe and Northern America, you will be agreeing with me on this count that lot of money effort is being spent on the education as well as health. But if you just see the developing world, you would see that not even 3% or 4% it is being spent on the GDP is being spent on the education part. If you go by this year's budget that our honorable finance minister just presented on in the month of February, around 93,000 crores have been earmarked for the education, wherein 55,000 crore is for the school education, and roughly around 38,000 plus crore is for the higher education. But friends, the unfortunate part is that the spend, if we compare it from the last budget, it is reduced from to around 6.13%. This has been reduced. See, the point that I was emphasizing was that till the time a lot of money and effort is spent on the education, till that time we will not be able to ensure our gross enrollment ratio of 100%. Now, what the government has done through some time back, that they have amended or replaced the national policy of 1986 by bringing about the National Education Policy 2020. And this policy aims at achieving universalization of education from pre-primary school to the secondary level. And it talks about an inclusive framework wherein, focusing on elementary level to higher education. And the target, again, as I said earlier, is to ensure 100% gross enrollment ratio by the year 2030. And it aims to bridge the social gaps in terms of access of education, participation, and learning outcomes in the school education. And the idea is that the education which should be not only be accessible to all, it should be equitable and it should be inclusive. And they have also created a regulatory body by the name of NEET, which is National Education Alliance for Technology. And this body will be bringing about bridging the technology to bring about better outcomes. And lot of artificial intelligence will be used. Some emphasis on teacher training is also being done in the new education policy that has. And friends, to discuss all these, but will this be easy? What was the need to change or replace the earlier policy, 1986 policy with 2020 policy? Whether the earlier governments, they put emphasis on this, and whether it has been done enough or lot more is desired. how and why and how things will be implemented across the board. Because India is a big country with many challenges. One state of Kerala has 100% literacy, but you have certain states wherein literacy is not even 60-65% also. So there are many challenges in terms of implementation also. So friends, to discuss the need, the issues, the challenges, which are the moot points today in national education policy, and to achieve the targets of gross enrollment ratio of 100%, we have invited today three very eminent speakers, Mr. Raj Nehru, Dr. Manoj Tiotia, and Mr. Kamalkant Eri. Mr. Raj Nehru is Vice Chancellor of Shri Vishwakarma Skill University, Gurugram, Haryana. Dr. Manoj Tiotia is an Associate Professor, CRID, which is a think tank based at Chandigarh, and Mr. Kamalkant Eri, he is a retired principal. He is an edu administrator as well. Presently, he is an advisor to Sarvhitkari Education Society, Jalandhar. Friends, all the three eminent panelists, they are very well known in the field of education, in the field of research, in the field of publications, trainings, and have done pioneer service in terms of both school education, or whether it's the training and skilling, or it is the higher education. So not taking much long, I invite the first speaker of the day, Shri Raj Nehru ji, to speak about education policy and to enlighten you on this count. So, sir, very warm welcome on this dais, and thank you for being here. Now, I request you to address the audience.
Thank you. Am I audible to all of you?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So first of all, big thank you कि आज आपने मुझे इस नई शिक्षा नीति के विषय में बोलने का पुनः अवसर दिया है. आप लोगों का बहुत बहुत हार्दिक आभार. और साथ में मेरे साथ जो will Hindi work or should I go in English? Is
Sir,
it okay?
Hindi is also okay. Both. You can slightly use mixed because we have people from South as well. But otherwise,
okay, then I will stay in English. I'll stay in English.
You can use mixed also, sir.
That will... Okay, okay. Thank you. Once again, thank you very much for giving me this opportunity to speak about this new education policy. Thank you to the organizers of this event and also my co-panelist of this event today. So I'll stay brief and to the point about the subject and topic. And as most of you would be aware that this is a post-independence, this is our third policy that has come to the light of the day. And since last 5 years, the government has been working extensively on getting the suggestions from most of the experts and most of the people across the country. As for the government inputs and the reports we have seen, more than 2 lakh people have given their suggestions, and these suggestions were incorporated into the final draft that the government had presented last year. And the whole document got constructed some 300 plus pages, but the final draft document that we saw coming out last year was of some 66 pages. So that's the summary of the entire crux that they have made. We need to know that we have been going through a significant challenge in last couple of decades. One of the biggest challenge that we have been seeing is how we align education to our national ethos, to our culture, to our heritage, and also promote the spirit of true nationalism through that education. That was one basic aspect, which means when we say that true alignment, it's also alignment with the values. Is my voice getting echoed?
Yeah, sir, it's fine because somebody had switched on. That was the reason.
Yeah. Okay. So, in last few years, we have been seeing that one of the biggest challenges, other than aligning with the values, national values, the values of this country, and the general humanistic values, there was a big need that the country has been looking at. The another area was we have been seeing constant need for increasing the general enrollment ratios in education. We all know what the general enrollment ratio in education mean. We just heard before I started talking about that. The enrollments have not been very high when it goes to the higher education. We are still at 27% of general enrollment ratio in a population of 18 to 23 years of age, where we have more than 140 million youngsters. We only have some 37 million people who are enrolled. So more than 103 million youngsters are not in higher education. And the same when we go down slightly at 11th, 12th, in the higher secondary, we'll see it's around 57, 58% of GER. However, uh, the another problem that we had in the education was the quality of education. So we many reports, AISH reports, have indicated that a class 8 student is not able to perform the basic mathematical ability or speak the class 5 or class 4 grade questions. So that was also one of the biggest challenges. So many areas we have seen the employability is one of the biggest issues today. Many reports like India Skills Report, if you read 2018, 19, and 20 that got released in December 2020, we saw that the employability index is fairly poor. Almost 56% are not considered to be employable in the in very many organizations. In fact, some reports are saying it's more than 65, 70%. So that's another issue. The qualification value is not matching the changing requirements of the industry. And our index on ideation, our index on patents, research, innovation, many of these have not been matching to the best of the ones in the world. So there have been many challenges, and most of these challenges also emerged from a misalignment between the foundation that is being laid at the initial stages of the child, when the formative stages of the child require a different kind of attention versus when a child grows up and appreciates certain things that is aligned with his aspiration, preference, need, thinking, his inner traits. So somewhere that part was also missing. It was directly a competition based education. So if you can run, you can run. If you cannot run, you are out of the race. But you may have some other talents, but those talents did not get valued. So many areas we had challenges. So this new education, when I look at, is this new education has got some 6 parts that I think are very important for all of us to really see and understand. These 6 parts are the school education, the language, the higher education, the technological segment, the financial modeling segment, and the implementation and the structure that has been proposed. So these are the 6 important drivers that is going to lead this entire piece. So let me quickly talk about each one of them quickly. So the conventional education we had was of 10+2 nature. So the entire education up to class 10th was standard, harmonious, similar, and everyone and anyone had to go through that part of the curriculum that is being offered. It's a standard one. And then only after class 10th, one had the choice of picking up either streams like commerce or science or medical or arts. That was the option a student had. But the new education model is now restructuring it. It has now restructured into 5+3+3+4. The research has indicated that the development of child and the brain has got different stages of growth and development. I think this new model is based on those research elements. For example, when we look at the 5+3+3+4, the first part is the 5, which is going to be dealt by the foundational development, which is the 1+2 model, where the preparation is for the 1 year, and then the student will go to preparation is for the 3 years, and then the student will go for the class 1 and class 2. So the first 5 years is more to be dealt with the ECC, elementary child care education, where the focus would be more on strengthening the foundation of the child and then moving him to class 1 and class 2. The second driver of this education of 10+2, which is moving to 5+3+3+4, is the preparatory level, which is third, fourth, and fifth. So the class 3, 4, and 5 would be dealt in a different manner, and then it is taking child to the class 6th, 7th, and 8th, which is a little bit middle education, and then you have got secondary education starting from 9th, 10th, 11th, and 12th. This is how the education is now being taken here onwards, from 10+2 to 5+3+3+4. Now, the choices would be entirely with the student. So, for example, in class 10th, earlier we had the choice that when we go to class 11th, we will choose the subject. But now the choice of subjects would be beginning right from class 9th. So the student will have a choice to pick up the subjects of his own or her own interest, and basis on their own interest, where the preferences lie, where the abilities are, where the liking is. So the student will have the opportunity of picking up that education. So it is more aligned with the letting the potential of the child be harnessed, instead of forcing the preferences of the system. The preferences of an individual, which are aligned to the potential of the individual, is going to be the fundamental shift from the previous model to this new model. Now, earlier we had right to educations classifying from 6 years to 14 years. The new education model is making it from 3 years till 18 years. So the government is harping too high on now on the Anganwadi workers. So the elementary education now would have a big role to be played by the Anganwadi workers. So the government has proposed that all the Anganwadi workers in the country would now be going through, if they are class 12th pass, they will go through a 6-month certification, or if they are not 12th pass, they will go through a 1-year diploma for the elementary child care education process, so that the focus on the child education is enhanced. The assessments are also going to be very different, and while we have a yearly examination system, there would be a twice a year examination system. If you are not able to make it in the first go, or you want to improve the first go, you have the option of improving in the second go. So this kind of assessment will reduce the stress levels of the children, who normally link that annual if the year is not done well, the entire year has been wasted. And most of the assessments would not be focusing on testing the knowledge. It would be focusing more on how the application of knowledge is achieved. So instead of testing the memorization and testing the knowledge, it would be more on focusing application of the knowledge. There would be choices with the students. Say, for example, someone does not like math, so a student may go for a medium level math instead of an advanced level math. So the level of mathematics would also, or different subjects, and mathematics, I'm giving an example. For example, someone who is interested in photography and does not want to does not have interest in the mathematics, the student can have a choice of picking up the low level mathematics. So that's how the new education policy at this level of education is talking about. You know, this education at the 10+2 shifting to the 5+3+3+4 is going to remove that hard separation that we used to have between various disciplines. So those separations will now go, and there would be more focus on interdisciplinary education. So children will have now a choice They may pick a subject from a commerce, or a subject from a history, or a subject from a science, depending upon where the choices, preferences, interests of a student lie, rather than forcing what the system is actually asking a child to do. The more involvement of co-curricular activities is also going to be a part of the subject. If a child is more interested in sports, for example, the sports would also be considered as a subject, rather than earlier it's considered only as a co-curricular activity. So they will become the activities of the mainframe education system. So if you do not want to pursue a specific subject that you don't like, and you like sports, sports can be one of the subjects that will be given as an offer to you. And when it comes to assessing, so there would be more focus not only on the teacher assessment but on the peer assessments as well. So 360-degree assessments have been introduced in the new education model that has been brought out. So net what rote learning we have been seeing for many decades, we are going to move away from that rote learning. It's going to test an individual's analytical, conceptual, and fundamental abilities, and it's also going to give wholesome developmental opportunities to an individual, rather than a specific development of a particular subject for which we used to stress and push the student. On the second part, which I said, the language, it's a beautiful thing that the government has brought in the three language concept. In the three language concept, now the government has given an option to the states and the institutions to have the mother tongue as one of the preferred mediums of education. And many researchers have indicated that if the education is offered, communication is offered in the mother tongue, the learnability and accommodation of learning is higher as compared to any other language. So government has made this proposal, and it's an option to many states, because the education comes in the concurrent list, so it has been left to the states to make a choice. But the recommendation is that mother tongue should be a medium of communication, especially up to class 5th, and between 5th and 8th it has been made an option that they can have. Besides this, they can have one local language, and they can have one international language, but 2 languages have to be from India. It can be a mother tongue and a local language. So multilingualism has a significant benefit on the cognitive development of the child. We have seen it from various researches. So I think that's a very good step that the government has brought in. So I think introduction of this language, India has a huge barrage of languages. I think more than 19,000 languages are today in India, though many of them are not spoken. There is not more than 10,000 people speaking those languages. But then in the smaller pockets of India, you have got languages there. So it will actually connect even those who have not been able to understand the value of education. It will connect them as well to the education. The third aspect is the higher education transformation. So I think there are some important decisions. I'm not going into nitty-gritties. I'm just talking about the most important things I feel they are going to change in our education system. One is the most important thing is the autonomy that is going to be brought in the higher education system. Today, in the education system, we have affiliation models, and those affiliation models, we know how it is operating. But the new education policy is going to make institutions autonomous, and they can be the degree awarding institutions themselves. So that affiliation in next 10 to 15 years, the country will move out of this affiliation model and provide institutions opportunity to be self-certifying institutions. They can award degrees themselves. The another good thing is that we will have higher education multidisciplinary institution. So rather than an institution of becoming only a commerce institution or a science institution, we will have to have institutions multidisciplinary education. That's what the new education policy is talking about. The new education policy has also talked about that we should at least have one university in every district. Given that we have more than 625 districts, and there are many districts where we don't have, not 625 districts. The target is we should have every district having one university, so that the number of students reach can be increased when it comes to the higher education. The local Indian languages has again been made an option as when it comes to the medium of education. The new education policy is talking about a national research foundation that's going to promote the research aggressively in the country, and through this there is an intent that the index of the country, where the participation of rich brains towards creating assets, economic assets, scientific assets, grows in the country. There are some important things that the government has brought in through this new education policy. Is the flexible and multi-point entry and exit system in the higher education. We have been seeing a higher education where someone enters into the higher education, unless someone completes that successfully, the student will not get a certificate. A qualification value was nil until you complete the education completely, those 3 years or 4 years of degree. Now, the government has proposed that in this new education model, if someone enters into, say, for example, someone enters into a BA history and like to pursue the BA history after first year. After completing the first year, a student can exit with a diploma, and in the second year, student can make another choice of picking up some other subject. But if a student doesn't want to proceed, a student can exit in that first year with a diploma, or second year with an advanced diploma, or third year with a degree. Also, if a student likes to pursue with the history, student can have the fourth year, if he has a research bent of mind, going for the BA history with research. So the research would be given the preference. And in that process, the MPhil is now being taken out. A student who has done a BA with 1 year additional research, 4-year BA research, will have to spend only 1 year in the post-graduation, and then can go for a PhD. So the research mindset will be incorporated right from the graduate education. So that's a beauty that the education policy is talking. It's also talking about creating a national education qualification framework. Today we have a national qualification framework for skill that we call national skill, called NSQF. So on the similar models, government is proposing to create a national education qualification framework and then marry them, both of them. So vocational education and general education and professional education would be integrated at some point of time. So that students have the opportunity of horizontal mobility besides the vertical mobility. Besides this, government has also decided to create an academic credit bank. So, for example, if someone has achieved some credits in education and then has gone to the job, and after some time wants to come back, and if there's a 40 credit graduation, and someone has already achieved 10 credits, the student may not have to study those 10 credits. So those 10 credits will be exempted, and student will have to only complete the 30 credits. So that flexibility will also come through the credit-based system of education. Besides this, foreign universities have been given an opportunity to come and set up in India. So this will create more competition, and this will try to create more standards in the Indian education system, and will provide more opportunities to youngsters to move up. And this will also create a healthy competition within the education fraternity in the country. Besides this, I think one important thing is the bringing in the technology. The fourth part that I see is how the government has decided to create a national education technology forum, which will focus on developing the technology-based education, including the MOOCs and other aspects. So that education can have access through multi-purpose uh, aspects, or a blended model of learning is offered to the youngsters, and the reach of the education is far deeper, and the new education is brought in, new learnings are brought into the youngsters, and their reach is made available to far-flung areas. So the technology is going to be a biggest driver in the new education system. On the count of finances, I think we have been hearing we spend almost 3.5% of our GDP on the education. Government is showing a commitment of spending around 6% on this, though the 6% has been there earlier also spoken by many governments, but I think this government through this new education policy is showing some commitment of how we will spend this 6% on the education. And the last, on the implementation and the structure, government has decided to create a higher education commission, and under that commission, government will have many other bodies getting associated with it, and these bodies would be driving. For example, under the Higher Education Commission of India, we will have National Higher Education Regulatory Council. Then we will have Higher Education Grants Council. Then we will have National Accreditation Council, and then General Education Council. These councils would be aligned to this National Education Commission of India, and this is how the regulatory mechanism will be operational in India. The government is saying that they would want to make light but a little tight governance system in the country. So there is a lot of focus on the teachers' development, their recruitment, their eligibilities, and how they will be trained. So BEd is going to be made, instead of 2 years, it's an integrated BEd that they are going to bring in. So net, what I feel is Disha and Dasha of of the country's education system is there's an attempt to Disha and Dasha of the education system. There's an attempt to transform it and align it with national values, civilizational strength, and also the aspiration of the modern science, and how that balance can be made. And India is once again made the Vishwaguru of education, a place which had the highest number of educational institutions in the world, where scholars and people used to come from all over the world. We had Takshila, Nalanda, Somapura, Udantapuri, Vallabi, Kantanur Shala, Sharda, one after another educational institutions in India who had laid the foundation of phenomenal educational progress. We had innovations, we had scholars. That's why we were called Sone Ki Chidiya, because we created so many inventions in India that the world wanted to have them, and in return of that they gave us gold, and that's why we were called the Sone Ki Chidiya. So with that, I think my time is up. I was given 20 minutes, so I will stop here, and thank you very much for giving me this opportunity.
Right. Thank you, sir. Thank you for this very informative session. And you set the ball rolling for the other panelists to continue from here. And again, thanks a lot. So now I request the second panelist of the day, Mr. Kamal Kant, to move ahead from here. Yeah. So welcome.
Thank you, sir.
Kamalji.
Thank you, sir. So, firstly, I'm thankful to Dr. Sanjeev ji. And of course, I have listened to very enlightened sort of presentation by Dr. Raj Nehru ji. I feel enriched, and also thankful to Mr. Manoj Tatotia ji for giving me this opportunity. In from 1948, 50, Commission Education Committee was formed under Dr. Radhakrishnan. And that committee stated the duties of the schools and colleges and teachers is to transmit old knowledge to the new generation, Secondly, to make efforts to create new knowledge. And thirdly, to equip the generations, new generations, with new capacities to face new challenges. All these things are covered up over here in this policy. Uh, there are three questions. Why this policy? Need of this policy, I mean to say. Then secondly, what is this policy? And thirdly, how to make it happen? How this policy can be implemented at the grassroots level, at the school and college level. The world is undergoing changes in the knowledge spectrum. According to one study, every 13 months, the knowledge is doubling in all subjects. And according to one report, that every 10 hours, the technological knowledge is doubling. We were continuing with the same policy for the last 34 years. Knowledge not only doubled, it went up many a time. There was no change in this contents being taught in schools and colleges. There was no change in pedagogy. Community engagement was totally, out of mind. So that is why, that is the first reason why this policy. This policy is because the knowledge is, knowledge spectrum is expanding. It is going up. It is simply exploding. Secondly, unfortunately, we people are not reimagining the things. If anybody reimagines, we are against. Now, for example, GST meeting is held every 15 days just to know whether some changes can be done in this policy or not. This is a beautiful case of reimagining. Some of the universities I have seen, I worked with lovely university also. They reimagine the syllabus every 1 year in the month of December. Reimagination in our system is a far cry. We are not concerned with it. We are not habitual of it. This policy gives great room for reimagination. Hence, this policy was required. Our system, total educational system, is severely fragmented. Now, somebody goes for primary education in one school, higher education in another school, then for college education, graduation, then post-graduation research in different universities and colleges. Unfortunately, the socially, economically backward students and those families cannot afford huge expenditure. That is why the such sort of multidisciplinary institution were required over here, and that was also one of the needs. Very few higher education institutions are giving education in native languages. Even the agriculture universities in India, which are around 6% of the total number of universities, only 1% of the students are getting agricultural education. And that education is, straightway applicable to the farmers, to the agriculturists. Unfortunately, there is a gap, language gap between the two. That is why the benefits of those research works going on are not disseminating to farmers and agriculture, to the grassroots level. So this was needed. Now, dropout ratio, sir has already described. When a student reaches, plus one and plus two stage, 44% of the students drop down. At present, according to one survey in 2017-18, 3.22 crores of 3.22 crores of the students, of the children in the age group of 6 to 18 are out of school. Now, what does this mean mathematically, scientifically? According to normal probability curve in mathematics, if we take some sample at random, around 1 out of 1,000 students is genius. Now, 3.22 crores of the students are out of schools. Means 30,000 students are genius. They are in streets and bazaars, on the roads, in the fields. They are doing manual work. They have to be mainstream. They have to be brought back to the, school structure. Now, out of those 30,000 students, if we go by multiple intelligence structure, Around 8,000 have the capacity to be mathematicians, 8,000 scientists, 8,000 sports person outstanding. History of the country is not history of all. It is a history of these few who are genius, who promote the history. That is why we generally refer to the old history, because our present history, Indian history, that has weakened because these students are out of school. At present, 25 crores are unskilled laborers in India. Just imagine 25 crores means 1%. 2.5 lakh out of them are genius at random. They have to be brought through adult education. So all these things, when they are taken into account, the need certainly, need of this policy was very urgently felt. Now, the previous policies gave access and equity. They opened the schools, they opened the colleges in the neighborhood of every habitation. Because I have been deputy director of education department, I have seen that in my districts, there was school at every 1 kilometer, within 1 kilometer of every habitation as far as primary school was concerned. Within 3 kilometers, a middle school was there to cover up. But we never give any stress on quality education. But still, in Punjab, we have Padho Punjab program, which has also included the quality education in mathematics, this languages for the purpose of empowering the students. That quality education was the need. Research and community education are still for Christ. Now we have been out with a lot of educational schemes. Right to Education Act 2009. In 2009, it came up, Right to Education Act. Still, our literacy rate in 2011 was 76%. Hopefully, this will be at present in the new census, which is going to be conducted very soon. Maybe it is 82%. So in 2011, Chinese literacy was more than 97%. Now, this is the reason why our economic development, national development is slowing down. And this is very much required to be improved. And this policy gives the assurance regarding that. Now, as far as unskilled labor is concerned, with the increase in knowledge, with the coming up of new appliances, artificial intelligence, this machine learning, etc., all unskilled labor is going to be done by the machines in the coming future. So we need skilled laborers. We need skilled, not laborers, workers, skilled teachers, skilled professors, everything. Because this policy is, was made under the chairpersonship of Dr. K. Kasturi Ranjan, the ex-chairman ISRO, and that is why there is biggest, sort of stress on STEMs, STEMS, science, technology, engineering, mathematics, and this social sciences for the purpose of making, empowering all the students. So now, what are the principles basically on which this policy is based? First, as sir has already told, foundational literacy and numeracy is required to be achieved. We have failed till now, except few states in India, the southern states and some of the far eastern states, we have failed. This is to be achieved by the time the student is in grade 3. And a test will be conducted whether the students have achieved or not. If the student has not achieved, there will be another fresh 3 months of bridge course for the student to bring him or her to level. Then there will be flexibility to the learners in choosing the subjects. For example, if I did my BSc non-medical, I was not interested in chemistry, but I was to choose that because that was the part of the rigid sort of separation. Then there will be no hard separations in courses. There will be multidisciplinarity and holistic education. every district by 2030 will be having a multidisciplinary institute in the district or within approachable distance, so that the students get the education at one place. And then critical thinking will be promoted, and Bloom's taxonomy, which is a way of learning the things will be working according to Bloom's taxonomy. There will be remembering, there will be understanding, applying, there will be analyzing, yeah, then evaluating, then creating and making research for the benefit of the community. Then multilingualism is also promoted in this policy. uh, I will take it later on how, and teachers will be required for all these four stages at the school level: foundational, preparatory, middle, and the secondary level. Different teachers will be required, and their educational qualification and training will be specified, and there will be vertical movement also, provided the teachers have attained that sort of brilliance. Then there will be outstanding research, etc. As sir has already said, the new system is 5 plus 3 plus 3 plus 4. This is all already being pursued in public schools, in private schools. Basically, it is for the government schools, where these students from 3 to 6 years of age are basically handled by the Anganwadi workers, who are not well educated. They are only giving the importance to their health and nutrition, not more than that. Now, under this policy, as sir has already said, ECCE teachers will be specially trained for this purpose, and Anganwadi workers who are already slightly educated will be trained as per the provisions of the policy, which has already been related by sir. Now, ECCE, early child care education, for 3 to 6 years, basically it will be for the government schools, because in all the private schools we are having it. Now, in foundational stage, the total dissemination of education will be through storytelling, activity based. It will be experiential sort of thing. It will be activity based, and the playway method will be there. There will be least emphasis on writing. There will be emphasis on listening, on speaking, on reading, and least emphasis on writing. And one language will be taught during this phase of school education, that is foundational stage. After this, middle stage, this preparatory stage will start. In preparatory stage, we will be having reading, writing, bit of arithmetic, two-digit arithmetic, three-digit arithmetic, then physical education, some languages, arts, etc. In middle stage, the proper subject system will start. There will be science, there will be mathematics, there will be physical education, there will be other subjects. And in secondary stage, there will be greater depth of the subjects. There will be critical thinking, greater critical thinking, and the students will be in position to choose their careers as per their learning trajectories. This will be in this direction. Now, multilingualism, the main problem of our country is the language issue. In around 1952, one language committee was formed in India just to prescribe the language system for the whole nation. Three language formula came out, and it is also called Bhim Sachar formula, after Bhim and Sachar. And that formula, according to that formula, every student was supposed to learn the mother tongue, then the national language, that is Hindi, and then the lingua language, that is English language. But the South Indian states and some other states opposed. I'm very happy. First time in the history of India, this problem is going to be solved through multilingualism. Every student is supposed to learn three languages. Number one, then there is also lacuna in this. Which language? Firstly, all the up to fifth standard, the medium of instruction will be four options: home language, mother tongue, local language, regional language. Now, home language means, now suppose army officers, doctors, who are well educated, they are speaking English at home. They will be provided instructions in English only. What I take out from these options, it means the CBSE, ICSE schools, they are not supposed to provide the language, the instructions in the state language. If the home language is English and the students are well versed in that language, they will provide in that language only. Then mother tongue and local language, it is our Punjabi. Then regional language. Some states can club together, say South Indian states, 4-5 states can club together and they can have their one language in which the medium of instruction will be chosen for medium of instruction at the primary stage. Now, second language. It is for the state government to decide which language to be given instructions in. That language will start from third standard, from preparatory stage, second language. And third will be the foreign language. Now, English is a foreign language. Now, again, there will be changes. For example, in Leh and Ladakh, they will go for Chinese. They will not go for English language. In some of the parts in Bombay, they will go for Hebrew. In some of the parts of Punjab, they may go for French, French language also, because in Canada, it is, I think, the second language. Now, it is for the state governments to decide as to what language they have to give instructions in. Most probably in Punjab, it will be Punjabi, Hindi, and English. Maybe it is for the governments to decide. Again, it is on concurrent list. It is for the government to decide whether they have to implement this policy or not. Yes, in central universities, in central schools, and Kendriya Vidyalayas extra, this policy is going to be implemented from the next session. No language will be imposed on any state. They have to select their own languages. Again, Sanskrit will be offered at every stage according to this policy. In addition, Tamil, Telugu, and other classical languages will be in online modules. They will be available. Students go for that. Then every student will have 2 years of classical from 6 to 12. They can choose for some other classical language from 6 to 12, but there will be no testing as far as that will be concerned. Now, skills are also important. Assessment system will be changed. As sir has already told, it will not be summative. At the end, 86% is superior to 76%. No, it will not be like that. Assessment system will be formative. It will be 360-degree sort of system where everything around the student, working around the student, will be considered for some sort of credits. And there will be the students, the peers assessment, there will be community assessment, there will be teacher assessment, there will be the school assessment. All these assessments will be made together to make it. And Parakh, a national agency, PARAKH, which is Performance Assessment Review Analysis and Knowledge for Holistic Development, that agency is creating certain system in order to assess the performances of the students and also of the teachers. That is working. And by 2022, the system will be publicized. And at present, this syllabus, the curriculum for the ECC is being finalized by SCRTs in collaboration with NCRT. There will be examination after grade 3, and that examination will be mainly focusing on F, L, and N, fundamental literacy and numeracy. Then teachers. In fact, under this policy is to be implemented, after all, by the teachers only. There are so many issues with the teachers also. In Indian system of education, it is the responsibility of the teachers to bring the students to schools. It's very strange. But in Western country, it is the responsibility of the parents to bring the students to the school. Fortunately, I think under this policy, this thing is going to be changed, and parents will also be made responsible for ensuring that students are actually coming to the schools without any problem. Otherwise, they are likely to be punished. But in our system, we cannot punish the parents because most of them are not highly educated. Most of them are having their own issues. But I'm of the opinion that political representatives of the area, there should be some ACR for those people also, what they have done in their area, and this should be included, whether all the students are mainstreamed or not. This should be included in that. Then national curriculum framework for school education, that is going to be completed within 10-15 days, hence, and by NCFSC, and this will be, giving the curriculum for basically all school classes in collaboration with the NCERT. Then assessment systems. Assessment systems, they are going to be designed, redesigned. There will be more, emphasis on cognitive, affective, and psychomotor domains of students' learning. Self-assessment, peer assessment, all these will be taken into consideration. Board examinations for 10 and +2 will continue as usual. There will be no change. Yes, there will be examinations after 5th standard and 8th standard. Means after every stage, there have to be certain examinations. Now, the principles of university entrance exams will be similar. There will be no change. Yes, NTA, National Testing Agency, will offer high quality this aptitude tests in humanities, science, languages, etc. And aptitude tests will be conducted twice a year. Now, presently, NEET, CLAT, CPT, and JW are conducted once a year. After the implementation of this policy, they will be conducted every 2 years. Now, teachers will have to be multidisciplinary teachers. After the implementation of this policy, there will be 4-year multidisciplinary institute teacher program, because previously what was happening that according to one report, one JS Verma committee report, there are around 10,000 institutions and B.Ed institutions in India which are only selling degrees. There is no system for educational psychology, educational philosophy, and other sort of things. They're simply, so they are curbing the growth of excellence through schools and colleges. Now, by 2030, only educationally sound, multidisciplinary and this integrated teacher education shall be enforced. It will be 4 years of education, and all the teachers will be, recruited only after this. This will be the minimum qualification, and after that, there will be TET for every stage. Now, for the students who have done B.Ed before this policy, bachelor degree before this policy, there will be 2-year B.Ed in multidisciplinary institutes and 1 year of B.Ed for multidisciplinary institutes, graduate courses who have not done the teacher education courses. And National Testing Agency will, oversee the, admissions to even B.Ed colleges. Fresh PhD entrants will be required to take credit-based courses in teaching, education, pedagogy, and writing. There will be no MPhil after introduction of this policy, but there is, because I am given only 20 minutes, my suggestion is that the teachers presently working in schools and also in colleges, they must go for credit-based courses in artificial intelligence, machine learning, in virtual labs. Especially, it is very important for mathematics and science teachers for virtual labs. And these courses can be taken admission to on SWAM and SWAM Prabha. They are providing free of any cost courses. Yes, examination fee is there. All are requested to go for these courses so that you attain certain credits, because you are going to face many challenges in future. And if you have got the credits, you will be given, the teachers will be given preferences, and they must create their own contents. If somebody is teaching science, say 9th level, must create own contents, must create own videos, etc. And if they think that the students are responding beautifully well to, understanding that, they can put these videos and their own contents on Diksha site, DIKSH, Digital Knowledge for Infrastructure Knowledge Sharing site. And if that is approved, those Diksha officers will give additional credits to those teachers. The credits will go to their, credits, and they will certainly, they will get promotions in future. There will be lot of, need necessities of lexicographers, the dictionary makers. All the teachers must go bilingual by now. If somebody is teaching science, not only in English, they must go bilingual, they must have their own dictionaries, they must get well versed in those dictionaries, because these teachers will be required. Now, certificate courses and diploma courses, higher education persons who leave after 1 year or 2 year of multidisciplinary institute education, they will be, having preferences in making dictionaries, in making bilingual books. They will be, getting lot of opportunities in preparatory, as preparatory teachers and foundational teachers. Now, lastly, uh, what are the challenges before us? I'm going to finish, sir. If you allow, I'm going to finish in 5 minutes.
Kindly, because Dr. Manoj is also there, and then maybe
Okay,
we
fine,
can
sir.
take. Yeah, please.
Okay,
Kindly,
sir.
you can
Okay, sir.
conclude, sir.
The challenges before us. The challenges are, Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam once said, we have to prepare students for technologies which are not invented yet. 2, for the jobs which do not exist in the market yet. And we have to imagine as to how to solve the problems which are not existing yet. So these are the challenges before education. And with these words, because it's a very long subject, uh, with these words, I come to an end. Thank you so much, sir, for giving me this opportunity.
Right. Thank you, Kamalji, and for very comprehensively you dealt the topic. And as you rightly said, the subject is very large. A lot of issues are involved, lot of challenges, others. But somehow, the time is less. So I regret, giving.
No, thank you, sir. Thank
time
you.
to you.
Thank you.
And so, Dr. Manoj, kindly take it forward from here, not taking much time. So, Dr. Manoj, the dais is all yours for now to speak to the audience. Yeah.
Good afternoon. Am I audible?
Yeah, good afternoon, Dr. Manoj. Are you very much audible?
Thank you very much, Dr. Chaddha and delegates, the participants, my co-panelist, Dr. Raj Nehru ji or Kamal Khan ji, Misra ji and other people. It's really a great opportunity created by Professor Chaddha that today we are discussing a very, very important issue, which is the backbone of any society, the education. And it's important because the capability depends on it. Capability of individuals, capability of different institutions, is very, very important. It depends on the quality of education. And rightly, Dr. Nehru and Areji have highlighted many issues related to the quality, related to the affordability, related to the accessibility, and also the issues of national importance. Today, if you look why this policy came, and we look back, there have been very, very crucial issues, issues of enrollment, issues of dropouts, issues of school infrastructure or college infrastructure or universities infrastructure, and And then accessibility. Education has not been accessible to many. Even literacy gaps are there. We have been having problems in economy. We have, inequality is growing in the country. So what kind of research, what kind of educational, solutions the education can provide? And there was, a lot of regulation or kind of, um, interventions in the functioning of the colleges. If you look, because I think I will try to focus on higher education aspect, and particularly colleges, universities, and research, etc. So there have been problems of, where the autonomy of even good colleges were in question. So I think now under the new education policy, I think this will improve. And if you look at this Shiksha Sanskriti Utthhan Nyas, it has been working throughout the country on various aspects, including, how this new education policy can be implemented properly, smoothly, because implementation has always been an issue in most of the policies, most of the programs, including in this. And even in the previous policies, there were very good aspects, but the implementation was poor. So Shiksha Sanskriti Utthanyas has been working to, help the implementation in the implementation of the new education policy. And they have highlighted various subjects. They are identifying the institutions which can work they are trying to document the innovations happening in different institutions and disseminate them. So that way SSUN has been working in a big way. They made committees in different states to help the state governments and the different institutions. And I think today, if Indian society is moving to become a knowledge society, I think the new education policy is going to play an important role. The kind of, mobility it aim to provide to the students, the kind of capacity it aim to build of the teachers, the kind of gaps in private education as well as the government education is going to fill, um, because one of the objectives of the new education policy is to fill this gap, because there have been problems. The schools are closing down, the colleges, the dropouts are there, but and because of quality and other concerns. So one of the objective of this policy is to fill that gap also. And I think we have seen some of the questions in the question list also, that some people are raising this issue because of commercialization, and because of probably lack of proper regulation, that some private institutions are they are very good, but some private institutions, they are just becoming like shop for they're selling the education. And so I think this is against the Indian, very Indian system of education, which was not only for making money, but it was for value-based education was the key. The character building was the key, which can play important role in addressing the issues of corruption and different kind of problems the society is having today. Women related issues, number of rapes, and this thing are happening in the country. The crime against women, crime against atrocities against various sections of the society. So all these kind of things, I think somewhere the education has to look that how we can impart the value-based education from the beginning, and then uh, provide the desired mobility to the people, so that we have better enrollment ratios, we have very less dropouts as somebody moves in the education. So autonomy is also important for the colleges which are doing better. It's not just controlling by universities and making some money from the college and not doing anything in terms of quality, etc. So I think some colleges really do wonderful work, and they need to be given desired autonomy in improving the quality further, and making education more meaningful and effective as an instrument of change and the transformation which is required in the society, in our Indian society, which is facing different kind of problems. So how this education meets the requirement, whether requirements of the industry, whether requirements of the agriculture, whether requirements of for social development, for human development, for economic development. So all these kind of things are important, and how this new education policy meets these requirements to make the civil society. I think this will be important, and some of the dimensions which the new education policy is trying to cover, I think it will help, whether it is related with the professional education, or with the kind of connectivity with the various programs. We have very comprehensive programs like Atmanirbhar Bharat and Unnat Bharat Abhiyan and others. So I think if we have proper education system, I think we can catalyze the development, the nation building, the economic development, the social development, etc., which are very, very much required. And I think employment has been a major issue, and particularly after the COVID-19, the situation has worsened, and so the connectivity between the education and different kind of skills, and then there from the beginning, how this new education policy is trying to impart various kind of skills required for enhancing the employability will, I think, play a very important role in the future, particularly in terms of employability. So that is and also if you look at the skill gaps studies and all, so you find a lot of gap in India, and probably somewhere our education system has failed to provide the desired skills to different kind of players, stakeholders, whether industry or different kind of institutions or private sector or public sector. And then I think somewhere brain drain is also one of the issues, probably with the internationalization and the kind of enhanced financing to make the education and good quality education affordable, etc. I think the kind of changes which Sri Hare Saab and Dr. Nehruji have highlighted, I think will definitely help in this transition to transformation, which is very, very important. So I don't want to repeat the things, so that's why I try to touch some of the things, and it is just the beginning. In future, I think we will be talking more how the new education policy will be focusing on multidisciplinary aspects, which are very, very important. Some of the universities were already working on it, but I think this will become a part of the system, that we will be having multidisciplinary approach, and also we will have like research universities and teaching universities and undergraduate colleges, different kind of, and this affiliation system will be phased out in due course to give more autonomy to the institutions. So then the education has to be made more liberal, particularly undergraduate education, and which is very important because then faculty and institutional autonomy has to be ensured through new education policy, and which is very important. Faculty autonomy enabling and motivating the faculty for innovation in teaching and pedagogical approaches, student assessment, community service initiatives, and research. Through institutional, academic, and administrative autonomy, institutions enabled to start and run novel and cutting-edge programs, develop innovative curricula, govern more locally, given local knowledge of circumstances and requirements, which is very key, because we sometimes are not aware what is happening in our neighborhood, in our society, in our rural area. Like these days, we are having peasant movement, the farmer movement, what kind of things are going on there, whether they're, really, there are serious issues, or there are some political dimensions and all these things. I think somewhere our education system has also some responsibilities, because lack of that communication gap or information gap or knowledge gap is also sometimes there, and which result in a big moment sometime. So I think those things have to be kept in mind, that how our institutions spread that desired knowledge for betterment of the society, for the welfare of the society. And then in terms of curriculum, which are in some cases which are outdated or not updated regularly, then different innovative pedagogies, use of those things for better understanding, and better assessment systems, and then proper student support systems have to be created to meet the requirements of different kind of initiatives which government is planning, because I think better education policy or better education system is going to help in better implementation of various programs, like I told, Atmanirbhar Bharat or Unnat Bharat Abhiyan, or all different kind of programs which government is trying to implement in addressing the concerns of industry or agriculture or social problems or economic problems. So I think those things are important, and what kind of leadership, and so there'll be different boards and research foundation also, because the quality of research has been a big concern from the beginning. The social science research is also in doldrum, and um, the the property rights, what do you call them, intellectual property right, and these patents for I think if we look different kind of patents in American universities or in Germany or UK, so we find tremendous gap in the patents, and probably the one of the reasons is that we have not focused on the quality of research. So the new education policy, one of the important aspect of this policy is to focus on better quality of research, and so that we can have more patents, more innovation, more knowledge-based solutions in the society, so that things can improve, and the goals of the different departments are met, because we have sustainable development goals, we have other kind of things which are going on in different sectors, poverty reduction programs, housing programs, other things. So how those things can be properly met, it's through understanding the social problems, economic problems, industry problems, problems of the farmers, so that there are no farmer suicides, etc. And so all these kind of things will depend on good quality education and research. So research is very, very fundamental for this, and I think regulatory roles have to be uh, important in this, and Dr. Raj Nehru and Kamal Kanji have highlighted those things. So I don't want to repeat, but I think light but tight regulation is one of the aspect of this policy. And also, I think one of the things which I was reading is about the handicapped, the disabled people. How because how this education can also help the disabled people in terms of knowledge, in terms of their employability, etc., so that they can also become integral part of the system. So I think accreditation, regulation, funding, announcement of funding to 6%, and all these things have already been talked about. So I think this new regulatory architecture, the new system of education in which quality will be one of the key things, and I think the linkages with the different kind of solution based uh, aspects. I think these things will, I think definitely, if implemented properly with the help of Rashtriya Shiksha Ayog and other bodies which government is trying to create, I think is going to play important role. We will have Rajya Shiksha Ayogs like state education commissions, etc., and then they will have definitely. Uh, and probably this is not just the government's role, because some in some people they think that education is only the government's responsibility. I think everybody has to play the role, the private sector, the community, the people, alumni, those who are working in India or abroad. So all have to come together to play the role in this transformation, which through new education policy, government of India is trying to bring the change in. I mean, that Atmanirbhar Bharat, Make in India program, and other things which are very very crucial and going to play an important role in coming time if the education policy is implemented properly, if things can be regulated properly, if more autonomy can be given to the institutions. I think if society, different stakeholders of the society, if they play proactive role, I think no doubt the new education policy will have drastic impact on social development, on economic development, on human development, on agriculture development, and all kind of growth which I think should be there in terms of human society and welfare. I think these are some of the ideas which I thought not to really repeat, but I think add to the discussion. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Manoj, for a very enlightening and comprehensive session on the topic. I think you've highlighted, very rightly highlighted, the issue of implementation, because if it is not well implemented, then whatever be the theoretical part and with all good intentions, it may go waste. And as you rightly said, that implementation has always been a bane for this country. So friends, with these three sessions have been done, now we may take a few questions. I think the crux of the question that comes from Dr. Muhammad Sulman basically and others also was on the light of commercialization of education and privatization of education. In that sense, and then putting pressure on the parents also, and in the case wherein the parents are not educated, doesn't the right of the students to get educated goes for a fix. So I'll request Mr. Kamal to take this question and then supplement, if possible, by Dr. Manoj. Kamalji.
Yes, sir. Privatization is concerned, yes, but the people who are working in the private industries, they are also equally intelligent. They are also the workforce of the country, skilled workforce of the country. I don't think that after the implementation of this policy, the nomenclature will be totally changed. There will be no private university, there will be no unitary university or say the agriculture university or this or that university. Only university will suffice. So there will be no impression given to the common public that this is a private university, this is a government university. Hence, because the structure will be same, I don't think that there will be much difference in the fee structure. Now, as far as the matriculation, up to matriculation education is concerned, that will be certainly free for all. There is nothing to, worry about that. After, till plus 2, 100% of GER is supposed to be achieved through this policy. And after that, at least 50% of the GER is supposed to be achieved by 2035. So I don't think there will be much difference whatsoever as far as the private entrepreneur are concerned, the government entrepreneur are concerned. They are equally educated. There will be a lot of jobs created to be created by this policy, jobs of managers, the research scholars, the different sort of teachers, different quality of teachers, then lexicographers, as I already told, the virtual lab experts, which is very important. So there are a lot of chances that our economic development that will, pace up, and certainly the brain drain, pratibha plan, that brain drain will come down, and our universities will be at par in education and infrastructure with the international universities. After the implementation of these policies, the credits of our universities will be transferable to the foreign universities and vice versa. There will be no bad impact, as I feel. Ultimately, it is the hands of the politicians to implement it properly. Now, let us see what happens.
Thank you, Kamalji. Dr. Manoj, would you like to add on what Kamal sir was saying?
I think he's very right. There'll be different, I think there'll be some difference, no doubt, because the kind of changes which are coming in the institutional mechanism, the policy mechanism, the way things were going on, I think it will bring a lot of changes. Some of the states have already started working on it, and I think Himachal has taken lead. They have constituted about, I think, 43-member committee to implement this, and even Punjab University has constituted a committee to reform the governance structure. So governance is also key, and then how you decide the things. Now you already have a guideline in your hand, this policy document. So the thing is how better we can implement and how we can fill this gap, probably with the enhanced funding, and also I think, as I already said, that I think it's not only the government, but all the stakeholders can play a role, including the students or outgoing students, those who are employed, outside. So they can also bring back the resources to the education system, because the needs are huge, and the CSR funding can also play a role. Like in many universities in US and UK, you will find a lot of chairs and a lot of funding from the private sector, to the universities. They fund in different units, different chairs, different research programs, different technical education programs, leadership programs, so management programs. So I think those things, if happen in India also, and these have already started happening in some of the institutions of excellence, but I think they need to be more at various levels in all the states and all the places, all the universities, colleges. So
Right.
I think this will have good impact.
Right. Thank you. Thank you. Dr. Saibi, can you please raise your question?
Yes, Dr. Chaddha, good afternoon. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yes.
See, in the rural area, what is happening? The parents they are a bit reluctant to send their, especially the girl child, to the school. They usually send the, I mean, male child, but girl child are left behind. So, what is the provision? Just I wanted to know. Though they are getting all the benefits of the government schemes, but they are a bit reluctant to send the girl child to the school. So, is there any provision in the new policy where the parents or the stakeholder can be asked to send, or it becomes a mandatory to ensure the education for the girl child? Secondly, another question which I have posed here is that the teacher's behavior and unbiased attitude toward the student play a big role in his growth, in his or her growth. So, is there any way of to check that aspect of the teacher? Thank you.
Yeah, Kamalji, would you
Yes,
like to
sir.
answer Dr. Saibi's question? Yeah.
Yes, sir. It is regarding equitable and inclusive education. There are SCDG groups, socially and economically, uh, disadvantaged groups and their students. They are certainly suffering. Now, as far as female literacy is concerned, it is very low. 76% total literacy, it is only 68% as per 2011 census. Yes, there is a provision for girl students in this because there will be multidisciplinary institutes in every district at least. So the institutes will be approachable for all the students, whether they are SCDG or female or other students. Secondly, there will be gender inclusion fund that will be, raised by the government of India. Gender inclusion fund. What will they do is that if there in any region or any district, the female mortality rate is higher than the national average. And number two, if the female literacy rate is lower than the national average, then that region will be declared special education zone. And in that case, some special residential schools and colleges will be opened entirely for the benefit of these girl students in schools and colleges on the lines of Kasturba Gandhi Balika Vidyalaya, which are in Punjab, we are having three, which are most successful. They are only for girl students. Now, as far as the school education is concerned, I think at present there is no issue because we are having primary school in within 1 kilometer of the habitation and middle school in within 3 kilometers of habitation, and in addition some private transport like the cycles are provided to the girl students so that they are able to reach the schools and colleges without any hesitation or without any resistance or problems. So the Gender Inclusion Fund will be raised very shortly, and more residential sort of systems for these students, the girl students, will be opened at the school and college level. So there will be no issue as far as the policy and the SASS.
Right.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Kamalji, for comprehensively answering. I think overall the infrastructure is already there. Now the
Yes,
only
sir.
point is that you have to bring in the quality in terms of the and awareness and the passion of the teachers. So that again goes into implementation, and I think over a period of time, because now when you become aware of the issue, then the solution also starts coming up. So thank you, Dr. Saibi, for asking the question, very relevant question, and Kamalji for answering. Dr.
Thank you.
Diksha had raised 2-3 concerns. Dr. Diksha, would you like to raise your concern? Dr. Diksha?
Yes, sir. Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon, Dr. Diksha. You can raise your concern so we may answer you. Yeah.
Sir, the major concern is I think you have already made it clear, like privatization. So, how privatization, under privatization, we can keep check on quality and then fee structure. So these are my concerns. So I mean, in Chandigarh or in major metropolitan cities,
Right, right. Thank you, Dr. Diksha. Kamalji, would you
what
like to
the
answer?
institutions
Basically,
Yes,
or the
sir.
colleges are providing the
Yes,
tuition.
sir.
yeah,
Madam, uh, actually, we have certain suspicions about the private bodies. I do not have, sorry to say, because I served in both the kinds of institutions, private and public. In this policy, there is provision that immediately by 2030, 30,000 additional colleges are required to be opened. Those colleges will be opened on the PPP basis. So huge infrastructure, huge money is required, and for that purpose, 1.4% enhancement of the budgetary provision is already made. It is raised from 4.4% to around 6% in the central budget. So I don't think that, yes, as far as the check on the private institutions, now there will be no private institution, no government institution. All these stickers will be taken off. There will be nothing like that. In every district, there will be at least one multidisciplinary institution to be called university or autonomous degree granting college. Now, in the world at present, the top 10 out of the top 10 universities, 7 are in private sector, the Croatia University being topping the list. How can we say that the private people, the private institutions, private entrepreneurs, they are not working honestly? uh, 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 Let us see what happens
right.
with the
Thank
passive
you,
private.
Kamalji. I
Yes.
think the policy framework, just to supplement what you added, the policy, the national policy already talks about light and tight regulation. So see,
Yes,
it
sir.
will be light. It will be light because it will be easier. Everybody can comply.
Yes,
Today,
sir.
even starting up a CBSE school or ICSE school is so difficult in terms of the amount of finances you require, and setting up a
Yes.
management and a technical institution, maybe a polytechnic or engineering college, was again very difficult. And AICT and other bodies, you know how they have been functioning. That is why this one body has come up, and this body will be regulating. And though you rightly said, the institution or any other organization is as good as the people. So
Yes, sir.
the character of the people again is a very important question mark. And again, during all these years, we have not been able to achieve what we should have been achieved, is because of the question mark on the character. So therefore, if all the stakeholders, they go together and they come up, and this is a good platform wherein the regulation, which could be light for those who comply and very tight for those who do
Yes,
not.
sir.
So that is what is happening in foreign countries also.
Yes.
For an average citizen, for a good citizen, they are there with all types of carrots. But if somebody does not comply, then you have the sticks. So I think that needs to
Yes,
be
sir.
brought into our system as well, which I think with all good intentions, the policies are bringing about. So I think this is what we have to add upon. Thank you for raising a very good question, Dr. Diksha. Now,
Moreover,
Dr.
sir, this accreditation council will take up all the decisions whether to grant, recognition to the institutions or not. They will be having, very tight sort of system and procedures
Yes,
for that
thank you.
purpose.
Dr. Muhammad Suleiman, your last concerns and your last comments, you raised a number of very, very important queries and questions and concerns on the education, I think, which are very pragmatic and practical also. So, yeah, Dr. Suleiman, you may please come up. Unmute your Dr. Suleiman, kindly unmute yourself and may please raise your query to the panel or any concern that you would like to highlight or flag off. Yes,
Hello, can you hear me?
yes, sir.
Yeah,
Yes, sir.
yes, sir. what are the challenges before us? First challenge is rampant corruption in the education system. For getting admission also, corruption is going on. To appointment of teachers also, corruption is going on. And another problem is to get accreditation also, they are paying huge amount. So these are the challenges faced by us. From elementary school to higher education, there are corruption is rampant. So government could not control this corruption from lower level to higher level. So moreover, the granting of universities, private universities under Section 3 of the UGC Act. Most of private universities, they are not employing the quality people as lecturers or assistant professors and professors. Even PhD holders are not appointed. For assistant professor, they are appointing and immediately those who are got the degree, an engineering degree, and likewise, if he get an engineering degree last year, he will be appointed as a assistant professor next year. So he don't have sufficient experience in teaching field. But even after, to save the money, private institutions are appointing these professors as teachers. So that is why the quality of the education is compromised. Likewise, the corruption is going on from lower level to higher level in each and every department. So that is, corruption is plaguing the education system. So how we can address this, in whether any solution is provided in the new education policy? That is my question.
So very good question, Dr. Muhammad Suleiman. And I have also, I have also seen this while, being a part of the management faculty and be part of the management of the management institutions. This is a very common question. Rather, before, just to add upon, AICTE is one body which was providing the affiliations and which was providing the certification to start up a technical college or engineering, polytechnic, even management college. And a lot of lot of issues were there in terms of providing that LOI or letter of intent to start up the college altogether. And thereafter, once the college starts, every year they have to provide to the AICT in terms of who are the teachers, and even the colleges. The same principle could be appointed in, let's say, 8 colleges, and it was being done because the technology was not there. But later on, the technology came up and they started aligning to all this. So therefore, my question to Kamalji, and just to add upon what this is, that this is the kind of regulation which was earlier there. A new regulation comes up, but people are the same. These are the people who would want to make money from the system. So Kamalji, would you like to add upon what Dr. Mohammed Sulman said? And later Jeet Gupta is also there, so I'll request him to.
Sir, there are vast challenges. Sir, there are vast challenges as far as the implementation of policy is concerned. The first challenge is whether the states will approve this policy or not. I think 20-25% states are going to delay the implementation because it is on the concurrent list. This is the first challenge. Work has started in different. I know at the secretary level in Punjab, the work has started. They have started making modules for the implementation of this policy. I am also associated at certain level. Now the set of people is same, no doubt. The individuals are same, but the integrity is supposed to be enhanced magnificently. Otherwise, we will not be able to, implement this policy. What I feel that there are certain other challenges also. For example, vast inputs are required. 1.4% enhancement in central budget will not do. We require a lot. By 2030, we have to actually implement this policy. That is again a challenge. At present, more than 7 crores of students, +2 students are out of school. We need vocations, we need skills, we need experts, specialists, we need managers, research scholars, we need a lot of other workforce, infrastructure. Then this is then quality education is again a challenge. I tell you, sir, at school level, teachers are adamant. They are not listening to the instructions of the government. But here in this policy, the pedagogy, in case of pedagogy, a lot of, freedom is given to the teacher. That is good thing about the policy. I will teach the way I think it is the best. So that is, then research work, that is to be initiated. Now, recent pandemic, India governments, had to spend 400 crores of rupees immediately. Now, lot of research work is to be initiated. The old institutions doing research, they will not be, disturbed. ICMR, UGC, and other institutes, they will not be. Additional, at every district level, we will be having research institutes, research intensive universities, then learning intensive universities. And when there is research intensive universities, in say mathematics, we will be having at least 15, 20 different experts in mathematics. Lot of infrastructure is required. Then brain drain, which is still going on, that is needs to be contained, checked. Now, as far as the training of the teachers is concerned, at every level, that is a big challenge. We have to, through this policy, save Ramanujans through good teachers. We need those teachers who, they dealt with the insanity of Ramanujan, understood him, and Ramanujan became Ramanujan not because by virtue of himself, because of his teacher who, tried to know him. He knew him. We need such sort of committed teachers, professionals. There are a lot of challenges. I think we will have to wait for some
Yes.
time by
So rightly,
2025.
rightly said, Kamalji, lots of challenges, but I think we are on the right path. So one last comment from Mr. Jeet Kumar Gupta ji, who has just joined us. Sir, last comment from you before we wind up.
Thank you. Thank you very much, sir, for the opportunity. I think national education policy, which is new policy, has a lot of implication in terms of restructuring the total education system, redefining the total curricula, total system of intake and ingress and exit from the institution, because this talks about making best use of the students, that they don't lose any year. If it's a 3-year course, and if the student leaves after 1 year, he is not left with anything. He is to provided with some kind of, he has a skill set, he gets some kind of your degree or diploma. What it says, after 1 year you get a certificate course, after 2 years you get advanced diploma, after 3 years you get a degree. But how the system works, in because we have a 4-year degree courses. Now I've seen that if 1 year, 2 year, 3 year, if this is to be run, that means for all engineering college, right from IIT to the polytechnic to the degree, they will have to be all integrated, because the people are entering at one level, they're exiting at level, and there are multiple option of entry and exit. So I think that is what the problem is. And secondly, there are a lot of option of studying the subjects which are beyond the normal curricula. So these kind of knowledge, expertise, and subjects are not available in individual kind of building. They are individual kind of institution, standalone institution. Suppose it's engineering college, an architecture college, or any other college, he will have to get affiliated with so many other institutions in order to get that kind of input, because there is a lot of flexibility. The student can opt subject beyond his course. So therefore, the institution has to make it available to the student so that he can pursue their course. So that's not possible for standalone institution, or there are small institutions. It can happen in university, or they are a multifaceted institution. But the question remains, the redefining the role of state government, the redefining the state technical university, because I don't see the universities are prepared to change it, and either the institutions are ready to change it. But the government will have to rethink. It will require a lot of resources, lot of quality people who can look at, and lot of restructuring, because this is going to change the total ball game of the education. And I think it happens, then it's a great thing, but it will have a lot of challenges in terms of the way it has been said, the quality of teacher, if you have all the freedom to teach, you don't know what teacher is teaching, that every institution, a student is given a kind of certificate. That means he must have a certain level of skill set before he's allowed to go and exit, so that uniformity of education, that itself will be challenged. And of course, the way the states are doing, and the universities are there, and their competition between state universities, private and public, that has been debated. I think the issue remains very, very difficult and to achieve. Unfortunately, education has become a business now. So that is what is creating problem. So this business, the privatization of education, and the way this is being treated as a commodity for making money. And you can see in most of the institutions after the pandemic, the universities have, and even the colleges have dispensed with the services of the people, There are, the faculty as per norms, it is not even 20%. People have not been paid for 8 to 10 months and the salary, So what kind of teaching you are expecting? I know an institution where there is no teacher, everybody is left because they have not been paid, So what kind of education you are expecting? What kind of, institution is looking for? That's, I think, a great challenge. I think government needs to exercise control on these universities once they have been given a liberty to have a private institution. And can you believe it? Who is the chancellor of these private university? Maybe a Halwai, who's not even education, who doesn't know even the 10th class, They are the kind of people who are the chancellor of this university. I think there should have been certain dignity of these university. With chancellor, at least the governor should have been the chancellor rather than these jokers, who are running the private. So I'll stop here. Thank you. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you, sir, for, it was an icing on the cake. And we happen to be, benefiting from your knowledge and your from very vast experience in terms of, administration also and academics also. So very rightly said. So friends, we come to an end of this seminar. Sorry, we slightly exceeded the time limit. But I think if we go by the wherein by consensus we say that this policy is good policy that government has brought about. It has good niti and it has good intentions which are therein, but implementation will be a big challenge for the country, because education as a subject goes to the states also. So a lot of coordination issues will be therein. Then the privatization and the public offices, and then changing of curriculum, then how all stakeholders will be brought in. But I think this is a good start, because if you just go by this policy includes the best of the many other countries best education policies. So maybe if even if we are not able to achieve it at 100%, even 70% will be good enough. And friends, just see the paradox that we have. India has become the human resource development capital of the entire world, wherein all the CEOs of the companies like Google, Microsoft, Alphabet, MX, they all are from India. And on the other hand side, we have certain states wherein the class 8 students cannot even talk about the table of 2 or 3. So these are big paradoxes. You have institutions like the IITs, the IISCs, and the IIMs who are in the top 200. But even that is unfortunate, because a country like Singapore, which is not even a country, it is just a city, they may have two, three universities or universities of higher education in the top 10, wherein we'll not have even in the top 100. So this issue, like Gupta ji is also talked about, Kamal ji is also talked about, has never been given the kind of due importance which it should have been given. The teacher has never been given the kind of importance that a teacher should have been given in our country. So I think this is a good step. This is a good step which has come up, and thereafter whatever comes by, the intention is clear. And in times to come, maybe the implementation challenges will be therein. But whatever we'll achieve, it cannot be achieved only by the government steps. All stakeholders have to come up. So friends, with these words, we come to an end. I would like to thank the three panelists, Mr. Raj Nehru, Mr. Kamal, and Dr. Manoj Tiotia, who came up for the dais and then who spared their valuable time. This was a Sunday afternoon, and this was Valentine Day as well. This is a parent day also in the Hindu philosophy. All the participants who came around. I thank the IHRDI team and the SSUN team who helped us to organize this webinar. Ms. Sanya, Jeet Kumar Gupta ji, Dr. S.K. Sharma ji, Mr. JPS Talwar, Dr. Muhammad Suleiman, Dr. Saibi, who are so passionate and who come each and every time with such good suggestions for us, who work so hard in the background. I'm really thankful to them. Friends, the e-certificate will be available to you. If you can just ping your numbers on 8727857116, 8727857116. So we'll put you in our broadcasting list. So e-certificate will be available to you. Plus, this recording will be available on the YouTube channel IHRDI, Inclusive Human Resource Development Initiative, wherein earlier 30, around more than 20 recordings are available, and this will be available in a day or two. So friends, till next week when we meet with some another topic on which is very important and useful to us. So friends, enjoy your day, be safe, be sound, enjoy the Valentine Day, respect your parents, and thank you, goodbye, namaskar, and sayonara.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you.